Morning, everyone. Join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Caleb's going to do the prayer for us.
God, we just pray over this meeting. God, I pray that the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be something that's acceptable to you, pleasing to you. God, I just think of the two parts of that. The words we say, God, I pray that they're things that lift people up, that they're honest, that they're true. Both of those things are essential. And then, God, the meditations of our heart, that we don't carry things around and stew on them or let them build up inside of us. God, we pray for wisdom over this whole meeting and discernment, thinking things through, thinking beyond the obvious implications to the deeper levels. God, I pray that we as a county is a county that's growing and encouraging human flourishing. In your name we pray. Amen.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second that motion.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Make a motion, we approve the claims in the amount of $919,437.50.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 I'll make a motion that we approve ads and abates 2024-261 through 264 totaling $963.44.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Have any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Commissioners. I would like to push the AMR contract renewal conversation to next week.
Anything else?
I don't have anything.
I think we have an open seat on the SEK Mental Health Board.
Okay.
I'd like to appoint someone to that today if we can.
Like a commission, I don't.
Commissioner, you good with that?
A commissioner.
Yeah, so add that.
So, okay.
Can we also add discussing the Parker lease agreement for the Parker Senior Center? And can we add the appraiser to the department head? She won't be in person, but I'll be speaking on her behalf.
Okay.
And then we have a cereal malt beverage license to approve. That is all I have, Commissioners.
Anything else?
I have a couple things. Pleasanton, Eastlake signs and sign department, if we're moving forward with that position, just an update on that. They are wanting to have the commission place signs, directional signs. Probably need to go into executive session with the commissioners and attorney for Evergy contract. at least 10 minutes. And this doesn't necessarily need to go on the agenda, but I need the UTV laws for the county, what the city versus county ordinances or laws through the state, including noxious weed statutes. My understanding is noxious weed department, if there's a contract with the noxious weed department, there's some sort of contractual agreement, then UTVs can be accessed on state highways or county roads. Other than that, I just needed to know what statutes we're following for UTV without license. And last week when I was listening to the towing issue, is there an application that we can have like a form for her to fill out? Is that something that we can provide her?
To the best of my knowledge, there is no in-house form. It's just a letter that they present
Yeah.
to us. But that's something I'd be happy to look into if you'd like.
I think it just feels more professional when we have applications that they're supposed to fill out. And then can we add the stars back to the agenda for next week? Or wait, are you gonna be gone, Jason? Maybe the
I
week
will be
after?
gone next week.
Let's do it the week after.
Would you like me to reach out to anyone on behalf of the commission to invite the STARS program to be present?
Not necessarily.
Okay, so
Would you want?
what are we,
Well, we need to finalize. I mean, it's just still on my calendar to finalize what we're doing with the check. Is it just a no?
they haven't requested those funds again, so we're still in a holding pattern as far
But
as
the check
those.
was written out, so we need to cancel the check.
The check was not written to
Okay.
the STARS program.
Wasn't written out.
No,
That's correct.
we
They did
didn't,
not have a check.
we didn't move forward.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We never approved it here.
So the stars,
I know we didn't approve. it.
whenever we're talking about like the mill and things like that, is that completely just, we don't have a responsibility to them to pay that?
That's
Do what? Now what was that?
We don't have a responsibility to pay them based on what the commission has decided in the past to give them funds.
Okay,
We don't have a legal responsibility to give them that money, correct?
especially if they don't request it again. So they wanted us to hold off on paying it. You know, we put it in the budget, we tax the people for it,
Right, that, to
Should we
me,
have this
but-
conversation after the agenda is approved?
probably, sorry.
Did you want to add to the agenda discussing the 3 applications that you've received for Public Works Administrator?
I would like to move forward with interviewing. So if they're available. When do you want that done? Next 2 weeks?
He's gone, so we've got 2 weeks.
Okay,
See if they can all come in on the 30th. Is that okay? That's it for me.
Anything else? I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. It's stated.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
all right.
Aye.
I'd like to be the sheriff.
I can. Sheriff's report for June 16th, 2025, total prisoners at 52, 10 releases this past week. Prisoners in at 51, 1 farmed out for a competency evaluation. Total farmed in of 33, 911 calls 69, jail contacts 4,931, total calls for service of 529, civil service papers served of 32, VIN inspections 3, new cases opened of 26, cases closed of 5, vehicle crashes 7, 0 SRO activities for summer break, bailiff contacts 111 with 29 resulting for calls for service and 4 livestock out.
Chris?
Good morning, Chris Martin, Linn County IT Director. I wanted to come and just let you know, kind of updates on what we've been doing with the IT department in the last such. To start off with, year to date, since January 1st, there's been 812 support tickets opened. As of Friday, we've closed 788 of those. So there's only 18 that are left open. Some of those are long-term projects that we leave there to keep them on the list. In the last 30 days, we've worked with the tower climbing company to replace the damaged radios on the Mound City Tower from the lightning strike. We've also path aligned the 60 gigahertz wireless link from that tower site back to the Justice Center, and we have installed 2 repeaters at that site. We worked with the Lacine Police Department to set up a temporary radio voting site in Lacine. That's a part of our radio system. And their city council had decided they wanted to add a site in Lacine. Eventually, we believe we'll end up on their water tower, but due to just getting equipment and things like that coming, we didn't want to delay the benefit to them. So we went ahead and installed one of the voting receivers at their office. So we got that taken care of last week. And then we'll eventually move that to the water tower when the time comes. They'll have to have a company come to do the climb. We worked with the radio vendor to resolve some software issues with our voting system with the radios. That has gotten significantly better, and we're hopeful that they'll have a final release of that software soon. But we've identified some issues, and those are being resolved. We set up and tested the portable 110-foot radio tower that we recently picked up, that Randy and Brian went and picked up. So we set that up in Pleasanton and made sure everything was working correctly. It stood up, gears were greased, all the stuff looked good, and that went very well. We have ordered equipment for a large portable display for the mapping department. They wanted to be able to display maps in their offices, so that equipment has been ordered, and we're in the process of assembling that now. We installed radios antennas at the Justice Center for our new mutual aid radio communication system. So Linn County now has the ability to communicate from our dispatch and other options with all surrounding counties, Miami County, Anderson County, Bourbon County, and Bates County. So that's been a real big positive, if there's a chase, fires, things like that. So that project the hardware side of that project is done. We replaced all the battery backups for the courthouse network switches. We completed the yearly security awareness training countywide. So all that was done in May for the, phishing and all the email stuff and all that. We do that once a year. Replaced all the radios and upgraded radio code plugs in the Linn County command trailer for the sheriff's office. So we used radios that we had. We didn't buy new radios, but we rehabbed the radios and made sure they were compatible and went ahead and got those installed and tested in the trailer. At the same time, we went ahead and tested the generator and the shore power for that trailer to make sure it was ready to go. We have fixed a PLC issue with the door lock system in the Justice Center. We set up FirstNet for cellular service for emergency services in Linn County. So FirstNet is a emergency services supported network from the federal government. And we've found that there's good coverage, especially on the west side. We've always been Verizon because they've covered the county as a whole better. But with FirstNet and their new environment, we've been moving some things over to that just because the coverage is better. Like I say, especially on the west side, we're getting a lot better coverage over there. And we also set that up so that emergency responders individually, their personal accounts can be on that as well. Save them some money or give them better coverage. We have set up 3 new tablets for the park staff for their maintenance people. We worked on configuring 911 dispatch console radio gateways. That's a part of the issue with the voting system, but it's related to the voting system. But we've reconfigured those gateways to make sure that everything is as reliable as possible. We're also working with the sheriff's office regarding mutual aid standard operating procedures. So we're working with their head dispatch and the sheriff and the undersheriff to make sure that now that we have those communications with surrounding counties, that we're being good neighbors and not, jumping on their channel accidentally or something like that. We also assisted Lacine PD at their request with connecting they got new vehicle modems for their patrol cars and new tablets put in their cars, I believe. Anyway, we worked with them to set those vehicles up to connect back to our VPN so that they can access the RMS system and CAD from their vehicles. We have set up 6 new computers countywide, just various different departments. Tested, tuned, and programmed 6 radio installs in emergency vehicles. I know a couple of them were the fire chief and the assistant chief's truck, a lot of patrol vehicles. So whenever we get those back, we pull the radio out, we hook it up to what's called a rig expert. We check to make sure the antennas are right, which we found many times these big companies that put these together, they screw them onto the wrong port or something like that. And of course, that's going to make the radio not perform. So we correct all that. And then we also went ahead and took the e-waste trailer that was full of a couple of years worth of e-waste up to Leavenworth to have that recycled because they will take it county e-waste for free, county government. We don't have to pay a fee. So we took that up there. All that's just been in the last 30 days.
Okay.
Is there anything I can?
Thank you. Can we go into executive session for 5 minutes on job descriptions? I'd like to make a motion. We go into executive session 75-43-19 for job descriptions for 5 minutes. Return non-elected personnel returning at 9:22 with IT and commissioners and Danielle.
Okay. I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Oh, yeah.
And there's one.
You would think.
Just
Well, actually, you have 1 minute. Go back.
With no action, executive session. Let's see, AMR.
Good morning, folks. Virgil Swanson with AMR. Dawn sends her apologies. She had a medical emergency with her family she had to stay with. But looks like the numbers I think she sent in to you guys already, the kind of by district wise. So far for the month of June, District 1's had 22 responses with 9 transports. District 2, 14 responses with 8 transports, and District 3, 18 responses with 7 transports for a total of 54 callouts and 24 transports. Unless you guys have any questions for me.
I don't have.
No.
Very good, thanks.
Thank you, Virgil.
Randy?
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Hegwold, Linn County Emergency Management and Rural Fire. Our weekly call totals, we had 6 total calls last week, brings our yearly total up to 310. That's a little more than average for this time of year over the last couple of years. With that being said, we're still doing really good budget-wise. Being higher than average, we may end up coming in average, but we are running a little more than average so far, almost halfway through the year. Right before I left, I received notification from K-Works. They'd asked, when they were walking through the fire stations doing inspections, they'd asked about anything that we could use training-wise. I'd got them 3 quotes on training mannequins. They notified me right before I come over here that they approved the purchase of a training mannequin. And so I asked that we take that out of special equipment, and then they'll reimburse us once we pay for it and send them the invoice. They'll reimburse us for it. The one that they approved was a Bullex Smart Dummy 110 extrication model. Without shipping, it is $3,657.85. So with shipping, I'd like permission to $3,900 or $4,000 out of special equipment to order this and get it in and get that reimbursement from K-Works.
This is 100% match then?
They're paying for 100%. But we just have to pay for it and then send them the invoice and they'll reimburse us for it. But they're paying for all of it. This is an interactive kind of talked about the smart dummy. It's an interactive dummy that can be used for setting it up in like vehicles and used for extrication where we can pin limbs and stuff like that on it. Also, we can use it for in smoky environments, set it up in it, allow firefighters to go in, search and rescue and train on it. It has an interactive voice box to it, so it can be programmed to sit there and yell for help or different things like that. So it'd be very useful for that in a smoky environment, so. And I can send that information on that mannequin out after I get back to the office. But like I said, it's 100% match come from K-Works.
Do you want to look at the K-Works document? Make sure we're good. I don't have a problem with it.
I don't
If
need
it's 100%.
I'll make a motion that we allow Randy to purchase the Bullix 110 Smart Dummy for not to exceed $4,000 with the reimbursement coming from K-Works out of special equipment.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's all I have unless commissioners have questions.
The only thing I had on my list was emergency management protocol for social media. We had an email back and forth. Do you want to put that on the agenda?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I know I've spoke to Road and Bridge
Okay.
and Dispatch
Okay.
about that also. So yeah, I think we definitely need
Can
to
we
move forward on a policy.
circle back on policy on June 30th for emergency management protocol for Linn County? Is that okay with everybody? If there's anything you want us to prepare before then, just send
Okay.
us an email. I don't know if you sent the email you sent me to everyone else, kind of get them in the loop of,
I can send something out. I'll just include like dispatch and stuff on that
Okay.
as well. So they kind of,
yeah, that'd be great. Maybe, I
included.
don't know if we want to have them involved in that.
okay.
Maybe someone from the sheriff's department, that would be a good idea to bring us all together because, yeah, I feel like we're kind of running separately. So maybe have some sort of
Okay.
teamwork on that.
Yeah, I'll probably get with Jesse as well because like the blocking of the roads and stuff
Mm-hmm.
goes through public works as well. So we can get all
Okay.
three talking. So,
That would be great.
All right.
Make sure the sheriff's department knows. We'd like to have a representative.
okay.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thanks, Randy.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
You have something on the beverage bills?
I do. My accounts payable clerk. Thank you. My accounts payable clerk called Evergy and asked if we could do a level pay agreement with them. That means every Evergy bill is going to be the same for a month, and then they recalculate at the end of that agreement. That way, there's no surprise costs to the department. It's something that is regular and expected, and they can count on. I've talked to a couple departments that are in favor of this. I didn't know if it was something I had to get you guys on board with, or if it's just something I could move forward with as the accounts payable.
Will it be a surprise to them when they come back at the last month
Of the year.
of the year and it's
I don't
huge?
think so. I think the level pay takes 12 months and
It does.
divides it by 12 so that it's broke out evenly throughout the year. So when it's the same no matter what.
Did you talk to anyone that didn't want to do this?
I think Chastity may have been the only one that was on the fence on behalf of Parks.
That was if there.
Come over and talk, would you please?
The only question and concern I have regarding that is if there is an issue, will Evergy contact us to let us know that, hey, there's a large amount of electricity being used at this particular month, or will we not know until the end of that 12 months?
That would be my concern as well, that we're
Sure.
not.
So that's my question, not that.
No, that's a good question. I can call them back and get an answer for that.
Okay.
Similar to a water bill, if there's a water leak, and we were on level pay, they don't let us know that water leak's taken place. Kind of same thing with electricity bill, I guess. I don't know if it's the same manner or not, but
You want to just call on that and bring it back next week?
Yeah, I can
Other
do
than
that.
that, Jason, you didn't have any other issues with
No.
moving forward with that? Okay.
No, just, I think, making sure that we're continuing to watch those bills
I wouldn't want a surprise at the end of the year by that, We're at the end.
or let a problem go 6 months
Right.
before we realize that there's a problem.
Sure.
That would be my concern.
One, two.
Okay. Along the lines of utilities, I would like permission for my office to move forward with paying utility bills without department head signatures. A utility bill is something that has to get paid no matter what. We're still going to be sending it out for signature just to notify the departments that this is what your share of that utility is. But it's regular, it's expected, it's gonna happen whether we want to pay it or not, whether we notice there's a problem or not, it still has to get paid. Giving us permission to pay it as soon as it comes in kind of just ensures the timeliness of that payment being mailed out, since we only do mailed payments.
Were we moving forward with online payments? Being able to do that?
I don't think I would have the treasurer's support in that. I'd be happy to reach out to other counties, ask our treasurer to reach out to other counties and see what it looks like. With our treasurer leaving in just a few short months for retirement, I'm not sure that she would be on board with changing anything anytime soon.
I just want to clarify, Danielle, that you are going to continue to send those invoices to the department heads. And again, the reason I ask is back in May, first part of May, I was at the marina when we got a phone call that said, hey, we think you have a water leak. So we spent 45 minutes looking everywhere for a water leak, to come to find out, for me to call back and go, wait a minute, was this somebody called you guys and told us we had a water leak? Or is this a result of the bill? It was a result of the bill. Once Sherry came back from what she was doing, we were able to tell it's that time of year that the water bill is going to be higher. However, different times of the year, the water bill is not going to be higher. So I guess my question is, I just am clarifying that we would continue to receive that invoice so we can say, yes, this is accurate, or not, no, it's not accurate, prior to it being paid. I know you said, I mean, you're right, the water bill has to be paid, but we need to be able to find out when there's an issue or not an issue. That's all I'm inquiring
I
about.
think
I
she's,
think she just said that, that's what,
Correct, yeah.
Okay, I just was clarifying though, that's what you're,
yeah.
Yes, it will for sure still get sent out. And like Chastity said, our department is being diligent about looking at the bills. It's not just receiving it, writing a check and processing it. We are inspecting things. We're trying to keep an eagle eye on it. We reported this as soon as we noticed it, because none of us in our office that's doing accounts payable has done it long enough to know what's regular and expected. So we're thankful that Sherry, is helping us navigate that process.
okay. I'm fine with paying the utility bills in the manner that you've stated.
I am too, as long as it gets to the department heads.
Yep.
All
I
right.
have an issue with it. Would we be able to have Joni come over in a few weeks and talk about the direction maybe we're wanting to go in certain things?
Yeah, I can do that. Janet's last day, I believe, is October 14th. So do you want Joni to come like in July sometime?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I don't care if Janet comes as well. I just.
Sure.
Either way.
I'd like to ask the commissioners to approve cereal malt beverage license 2025-2 for the Power Stop in Lacing.
I'll make a motion that we approve cereal malt beverage license number 2025-2 for Power Stop in Lacing.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's just in the corner of the front page. It says chairman.
Move to it.
Thank you. So back to Evergy, you'll just check with the anything gets out of line, too high, too low, and then come back next week, and then you'll need a motion, right?
I
I
would
don't
say
know.
that's better safe than sorry. to
Okay.
have a Motion just giving me permission and authority to enter into that agreement with Evergy.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Chastity?
Good morning. I sent several documents to you last week regarding several different things, but the first one I just want to bring to your attention is that 2025 park year-to-date report. I want to confirm that you got that. Make sure you don't have any questions regarding that, and moving forward, that will be presented to you the first week of the month, for the previous month, I guess I should say.
Okay.
Okay?
On the park report you're talking, yeah, that's the first week of the following.
Yes, yeah, first week of the following month of when it, because once I receive the expenditure report from the clerk's office, then I will complete that document. Have
Do
that
you
to
have a breakdown of the personal services on expenditures?
That's on that document, you mean?
Yeah.
No.
What?
But I can get that for you.
Okay.
This document is
that-
new to me in the last week, Alex.
Isn't
so-
that our employees?
As in their payment, their salaries? Very well could be.
What was the question you had regarding?
What the personal services, what that breakdown is, what we're paying out in that personal services.
Okay, so park personal services.
I've just always heard.
There's overtime, there's part-time, and then there's regular wage, full-time wage workers. So we're looking at year-to-date, that's up to May 30th. Wages is 52,250. Overtime, January to May, is 360. And then part-time, January to May, is 4,758, rounding up. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, this document's new to me. David Lamb had done it prior to, and Danielle is asking me to do it from this point forward, so.
Okay.
Okay, the only other thing, I actually have two things. First, I will start with, I attended the monthly Southeast Kansas Regional Planning Commission meeting last Thursday, and somehow was voted in as the 2026 Secretary Treasurer for the Southeast Kansas Regional Planning Commission Board. Yeah, yeah. But the more important and most important piece that I'm here for today is to finally be able to talk about the website. Following evaluations between Chris Martin and I, we looked over the proposals. We've reached a decision that we believe best aligns with our county's ambitions and our financial considerations. Each of the three proposals reviewed, they all offered good, innovative, modern, and interactive designs that met our county's requirements. However, the proposal from Civic Plus itself really stood out to Chris and I, providing additional options and functionalities that extended the value of our future investment for this website. So, moving forward, I guess, I'm asking that you as well approve that we take on Civic Plus as the developer for our website. And if you are in agreement with that, then I have the contract here for Mr. Johnson to sign so we can move forward with that process. I submitted to you last week numerous documents, my reasonings, I shouldn't say my reasonings, why, our reasonings why we chose that website developer over the other two.
Have you sent the contract to our attorney?
Nope, that's right here.
She needs to see that.
Now we have
I'll
something else
have-
with Civic Plus too, right? What is
We
it?
have Civic Ready with them, our emergency something or other system. It's currently with them as well. And this particular contract is even a little less than what they had initially quoted us, because after further conversation with Chris and the representative from Civic Plus, because we as the county are going to be responsible for the DNS, the amount was actually lower than what it was originally quoted to us.
The monthly, or the service fees for the year, there's just a flat 57.30.
Yep.
Whatever we use it.
Yep. Where the other two were hourly rates, depending on what we did, and some of them, I think one of them even had a monthly fee whether we use them or not anyway, so.
Okay.
The contract specifies 3 hours of training for a total of 12 employees. What if you need more than that?
I would imagine there will be a fee for that. That is for them to come here and train 12 individuals to know this very, very well, the website itself, to be able to get in from the backside and do whatever needs to be done.
So we could have up to 12 trained to,
Yes, the long-term goal will, every department head will be able to get in and make their changes on their particular page that they need to make as time goes on. We're currently, anything that needs to be changed on our current website, we have to contact Mr. Martin and he makes those changes for us. This way, there will be up to 12 individuals though that will be able to know ins and outs of this website and the behind the scenes aspects of the website.
they will oversee to make sure what we're putting on it's proper.
Yeah, yep. Correct.
Can you go over the Americans with Disabilities Act, what we have to be compliant with regarding digital content for all government websites that's due April 26, 2027?
Well, I can't tell you every single thing about it. Absolutely not. I wasn't prepared to share that with you, but I know.
I just meant in a brief summary so the citizens know that not only is this something we're looking to just improve the county transparency.
All I know is that less than 10,000 citizens in your county has to follow that compliancy by April of 2026. What I do know is that Civic Plus currently follows that already. The other two, one of the website developers didn't share anything about compliancy, and the other one said that they would be up to speed and would follow that compliancy. And what that means, I know you know because we attended that same conference, but what that means is there's got to be some tidbits of whether the font can be enlarged or whether there's a hearing section to something that's being spoken on the website. So I know that Civic Plus currently already follows that, even though they don't have to until 2026 for our particular county because of our size. So
I guess the only reason why I'm saying that, I just wanted to make sure the public knows that we are not in compliance with our current website.
Correct.
This is something we will have to do, or as a county, we will be fined.
Yep.
So moving forward, this isn't something that we're just doing because we want to. This is something we're doing because we are required to do it through the government.
Correct.
So
Yes.
that's the only
Yep.
purpose of why we really need to move forward with this. So legally. I don't have a problem with the contract, but I'd like you to have time to read through it a little bit more, get some questions put together for Civic Plus if we have any, and come back and make a vote.
Yeah, I mean, this contract is really just quantity, product name, and description. So there's not really any substance to this contract. So for example, the annual recurring service is $5,730 subject to uplift. And then later it says annual uplift is 5% to be applied in year 2. So does that mean that year 1, the annual recurring services is $5,730, and then in year 2, it's plus an additional 5%? So some of this is perhaps terms of art that they're using, but I do have questions about what do these dollars mean and how many years of a commitment, are we signing up for?
So would you like contact information for the gentleman that I have been speaking to for almost 6 months now in regards to this, or how would you like to move forward with that?
Yes.
Yep, okay.
Also, does he reference in the contract the particular bid package? Because I mean, there's a lot of information in here that I would have assumed was included
It is, that, I had
in
a,
that, so. Just want to make sure, like, he's referencing in what we're signing on the contract.
that's not the accurate one that you have. That's not, this is, well, let me rephrase that. This is semi-accurate, but it's not. This is the most accurate
Did
one.
he,
This one was 80.
that's what came in on the bid.
Yeah, this, and because we had to go out for a second RFP.
Okay, I haven't
then
seen
it was
this.
a new one. Which, the only thing that changed was absolutely nothing. There was nothing that changed in this one. The other two websites changed their stuff that they sent in to us.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this one in the trash.
Yeah, that one can go because of the dates is the only thing that changed.
Okay. Let us go over that. Let her talk with David. And then you want to vote on that when you come back, Jason? Do you care? We vote on it
Doesn't
next week? Okay. If she seems okay with it next week, we good to?
Yes.
Okay. Let's
I
vote on it.
don't want to be the
Jacqueline, I
reason
also
holding
have
it up.
an electronic jump drive if you would rather have that.
I'll just keep the paper.
Okay, yep.
Make the vote, we'll vote next.
I think that's fine. I'd rather have Jacqueline look through it.
Okay.
Are you okay
that's
with
good.
that?
Yep.
Anything else?
I don't have.
I don't have any.
Okay, thank you.
Jesse here.
Do you want to handle appraiser? Is she coming? She's not coming over?
That's correct. Yeah, while we're waiting for Jesse, we can jump to the appraiser. The appraisers would like you to approve a new hire.
I don't have an issue with it. Is that all?
I'll make a motion that we hire Brett Nation for the appraiser's office at 8A 17.9905, subject to pre-employment paperwork.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Go ahead, Jesse.
Okay, sent out last week's update of what went on this last week. A few of the things I'd like to go over. First thing is the 1095 High Risk Rural Road Project. After visiting with a couple of the KDOT individuals, they sent an agreement that I had sent out with the email. This agreement just pretty much that we're going to follow the rules and stay in the guidelines of this project. And that's all it states in there that we'll go through that, following those guidelines in there. So if we can sign that, I can get that sent back to them. Also visiting with them, learning more about this, they actually send out to contractors to get their qualifications who can bid on this project. So it moves a little slower than what I thought it would. So these contractors will send back into the state of their qualifications to bid on this project. And then they'll reach out to me and saying, hey, here's our list of contractors that would like to bid on this project. They are qualified to do that. So it's not like we're going to get people that are not qualified to handle this project as it comes in. I also found out that the funds need to be used by October of 2026. So we don't have to do this project this year. We can do it next year. But that's how long that the funds are good for on this road project as it keeps coming around. So I did find that out about that. So if you guys want to sign this, then I can get this back to Hugh with KDOT. It doesn't say that we're committed to the project. It just states that, hey, we're going to
Follow through to get.
follow their guidelines on it.
Have you seen
But
this?
we already accepted the grant saying we were committed to the project, didn't we?
Right. And this just states we're going to follow their guidance.
Okay.
This is what I'd say. This is what I'd send everybody on that, so. And then I just signed these two back pages, but this is where county commissioners and the county clerk sign.
Need
Give
a
me a
motion
summary.
on this to sign?
Is it all of us?
Please.
All of us?
The
Okay.
long and short of it is that we have
All three of us.
legal procedures for getting RFPs and things like that for the subcomponents of the bid.
I'll make a motion that we enter into the agreement between the Secretary of Transportation with KDOT and Linn County for the high-risk rural roads project for the north half of 1095.
I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Did you look into the budget?
Yes, I did.
That we talked about last week?
So the funds that we have available in the Special Road and Bridge Fund, we have $1.5 million available in that fund. In our Road and Bridge Fund, it shows we have $2.5 million in that fund. What I'd like to do is break up these projects between 1850 and 1095 between this year and next year. 1850 road, I'd like to go through and go out with an RFP to bid that project out, to get that road fixed. And then work on 1095 to where we can work on that road next year. And that way we're not spending all our money in 1 year, and we can see where we're at the end of the year with funds to put forward on the 1095 project.
You're talking about the 1.25 miles.
Correct, yep. To put a RFP together to go out for bid on that.
And that road, that was one that we just came in and did the chip and seal over the top of the existing gravel road
Yes,
and everything that way. And now we're coming back in and having to,
fix the potholes and the big chug holes that are in there where that road's falling apart.
right?
Yep,
Which,
I don't
as it
know.
relates to like, say, Devlin Road and their request, I think that's been my reluctance to support that, is the fact that we're seeing those roads blow out before, if we're not doing them correctly the first time.
Right,
And that's why our costs come in considerably higher than what they were expecting, the residents were expecting. So special road and bridge, and then the road, you'll have the money to pay. We won't have to dip into contingency or anything else that
right.
way.
Between those two funds, there's $4 million altogether in there between the two
Okay.
funds.
To pay for how?
I'm sorry. I personally, I need a visual. I feel like the project management for the county, I'm just not,
What do you want a visual of? Be
Okay.
specific.
I will. So we have, like when Todd came in,
So he came in and gave numbers of what it would cost to do the 1850 road. We also had peppercorn put
okay, hold
together.
on. Because whenever I had Todd come in, I said, let me see it. I took a picture of it. I took a screenshot of it. I put that into a document that was typed out. And then I asked for him to respond to me on exactly how much money that was going to cost. We came in the next week, and then it was on a piece of paper again with the cost. And so I went back in and I broke it out for me personally. So that is what I mean by like, it is hard for me to just come in and just talk about a road, 1095, this and that every week. And we're talking about millions of dollars. And it's just, to me, I feel like it needs to be in some sort of project management software. I feel like it needs to be in some sort of document that we're looking at visually. I can't understand. You know, I listened to the meeting last week. We were talking about there's $1 million here, there's $1 million there. To me, I'm just like, I need a document. I need to see something. Am I?
Would it help if we put the GIS map on the screen and kind of highlighted where that section of road is?
I feel like we have everything, but it's like, it's not, it's like, we've talked about it and I know it's out there somewhere, but the way we present these roads and what needs to be done, whether it's Jesse or Todd or whoever it is, it's just like, for me, I don't think it's good enough for the public. Like, what was the priority? I've asked for public works tickets on which roads that were submitted, which ones are we taking care of? We talked about the priority a few weeks ago, and you said, don't you think that they should be the ones making the priority? Absolutely. But we don't see it. We don't see it come back. Am I making any sense to anyone?
Well, so in regards to the 1095 road, we already have the grant and with the match and all of that, the contract that we had agreed to. And so we have until October of next year to utilize.
South half, right?
For the north.
This is the north half.
I mean, the north.
You're right.
Yeah, to utilize those funds.
So,
But the road and bridge department has been concerned about the 1850 road, that one is actually in a worse state of disrepair, and that during this budget year, the county does not have the money to do both 1850 and 1095. And so would it be helpful for you to see the map of both of those roads, or do you need to see the spreadsheet that has the money in reserve for the road and bridge?
I guess if they're okay with this, talking about it every week, I guess it's fine if they're okay with it. I just
So,
understand.
just so you know, my question was in regard to the 1095. I know that we already have the contract with the grant and all of that. So I wanted to know if we're continuing to delay, what is the deadline for utilizing the funds that we have available through the grant, which isn't until next year.
October of 2026, right?
Correct. So we have time. We have about, a year and 3-4 months to work on that one.
And then we've already applied and been approved for the second half, which is the south half of 1095, to do the same thing with the same grant.
Yeah, and those funds, we don't have a clock, I don't think, yet on those funds to benefit from. So the issue that I learned in talking with Public Works is that the match part of it means that the county has to put forward money as well. And so the county doesn't have the money in this year's budget to do both 1850 and the north half of 1095. So that's why we need to choose one to do. And Public
And we're
Works,
still not in the process of filling out any application for any sort of cost share, right?
for
For what?
for 1850.
Any of them.
No, for 1095 we have.
Okay.
we got the 397,000
Okay. That's fine.
is our share of the.
I will say that the county has about $6,000 of unencumbered cash. So that's the cash that we're sitting on that is kind of our surplus. We do have windfall and contingency built into our general fund for projects like this that maybe can't wait another year. So that's what that is for. The funds can be spent on road and bridge if we choose for it to. Otherwise, when we build our budget and we're saying we have this windfall account, this is saying we're setting this cash aside. We want to earmark it for an emergency, for potential use.
Right.
using it or not using it doesn't affect the mill levy.
Okay.
What it would affect is our bottom dollar cash balance, essentially.
Can you tell her the line item where Jesse was reading from for the money that's in reserve?
Jesse, what was that number again?
For which one again?
You said
Oh.
that there was a total of $4 million.
So we have special road and bridge fund, which is a 1.5, and the road and bridge fund, which is 2.5.
Are these the equipment reserve numbers I gave you?
Yes, this is what you'd emailed me.
I need to double check my spreadsheet. I just got an email from our treasurer that says that her cash end is showing $1 million less.
Okay,
And keep in mind that I pulled my numbers from a spreadsheet that I adopted. The accuracy of it is not 1,000%. I believe it's very close,
okay,
but let the treasurer and I get on the same page and match up our numbers.
okay.
I'll wait till next week or,
I would say let's wait till next week.
I think that, since we're already in June, the middle of June, you probably ought to decide whether you're interested in letting him do an RFP for the 1850 road.
I am. I think we've got to get moving on something.
and then hold off on the
We can
1095 if.
we can get it in next year's budget if. $1850's in more dire shape in my opinion, but I mean, that's just my personal opinion.
So that's pretty bad.
My push on 1095 is just that if we're gonna be doing the high-risk rural roads, the striping and things that way, I would like to have that road in its best shape.
There's no need to have to restripe it after we paid, so, right.
Yeah. So you need a motion to send that out for, I'll make a motion that we send out the 1850, do a request for proposals on repairing that road.
Galley?
That's fine.
I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. What else, Justin?
Okay, we went and met with the sheriff and the architecture company for the Justice Center on soundproofing the jury room. Hope you read that. They're going to get something together and bring it back to Sheriff Akes on that. They discussed the concrete outside here on the annex. They're going to get a hold of the contractor that did that and have them come look at that and get back with us on that. The other thing that was brought up was the gazebo. What's our intentions with the gazebo from our last discussion?
I reached out to Larry Goldberg about the concrete, and he says after he's checked into it, he said that's a wide area that the same thing's happening to concrete right now because of some process.
Okay.
And he said it's huge. So I don't know what will happen. He said he'd let me know. So
Okay.
Hey, Jim. They're having a hard time hearing you on the live feed. Can you move your mic closer?
okay.
Thank you, sir.
On the gazebo, we didn't make a decision on whether to tear it down temporarily, did we? I think we just put it on hold.
Right.
I think that's where we were at it, was whether we were taking it down and then looking to put a new one up, right?
I believe we put it on hold because Allison had asked Gordian to look into what the RFP process would look like for that. Is that correct, Allison?
Yeah, I think that they were moved to the 30th.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So table the gazebo until the 30th, or do you want to put it back on the agenda the following week after the 30th? Or Gordian will be here. We could just talk to them about it. We don't
Okay.
have to do that.
That's fine.
That's fine with me.
Okay, the other thing was the senior center in Parker. Wondering where we're at on that with that agreement with them. If you want to move forward and do the lease agreement with them.
I reviewed this lease agreement as well as the minutes from previous meetings when this was discussed. This was actually the county's proposal to Parker for use of that facility. They agreed to the terms of the county's lease. There's a couple specifics in there with respect to maintenance, so I think that we're good to go ahead and sign this lease.
Okay. I'll make the motion that we enter into the lease with the city of Parker for the Parker Senior Center.
I'll second that motion. Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 I have a burial permit from Page Enterprise. This is out on East 575th. They're going to do a road bore on this. There is no conflict with them doing this with our roadway. And would like if you guys could sign this road crossing, road burial. It's BP 2025-08. It's for a 1-inch water line.
I'll make a motion that we approve burial permit 2025-08 for a road bore for a water line for Page Construction.
I'll second that. Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Next, I have the courthouse roofing bids. We went over these when we opened them. World Premier, Casey Building Services sent a copy of each of these, 3 copies of theirs. I'd just like to go over, I want to know pretty much which one you guys feel comfortable with. The DHI Roofing, they came in at $582,101.99. The Standard or Stanfield Roofing, they came in at $35,248.78. In their agreement, in their bid that they sent, it said payments are to be made as follows. Half upon the acceptance of the proposal, $17,624.39.
They're the same.
What's that?
I was just
Yeah, they are all the same.
wondering-
That way each of you have a copy of that. And then the rest to be paid upon the completion of the job within 5 days. After that, it's a 1.5% interest on that. On the one that you have in front of you, that says there's a $10,000 deductible on the back page, and then to go through the insurance and the county to finish out what is left to be paid. Do you have any direction or any comments between Stanfield and the one that you have in front of you of which way you'd like to go? I think they're pretty even. I think
Do you have an extra copy of the other one?
I don't, but I have it right here. You can.
Okay, so the other one is out because it's $500,000, and that one's out because he quoted
To redo the whole roof.
he's gonna replace the whole roof.
Correct.
We weren't clear in the paper on that, but moving forward, this $10,000, is that, I mean, do we know if that came out when you got the $39,000 for the insurance payout yet?
I don't know exactly.
They're
It's
not gonna
It's
send
not
us
common for them to send us the
our
portion that
deductible.
ours are deductible. They're gonna hold that out of the rate.
So my point was that we're basically making like $4,000 if we use this company,
If we use this Stanfield,
right?
right?
Am I doing my math correct?
That's the way I view it.
Okay.
So his build, Sutter's bid was the deductible, right?
Right. And then,
He would do it for what the insurance paid, which was the 39,000 plus the 10K.
that's the way I read it.
And Stanfield, actually, so wouldn't it be 14,000? Ally? Because he's bidding just 35,248
This one's
to
30.
replace the roof. So,
This one's for the check plus $10,000.
yep.
I
So
believe
it
the
is
insurance
49.
quote was only to replace 12 tiles on the roof.
I was gonna say, you just need to make sure that this, what he's saying he's gonna do, is exactly what the insurance claim paid out on, and that's not the case.
It's
So you're
not the case?
I don't believe it is. I
He's
don't,
done these 35 slate tiles, and you're saying 12?
I mean, he doesn't, this
So he's
isn't
doing more.
exactly, let me print out the, insurance.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can try to pull it up real quick.
Okay, so you are aware that on the insurance, they paid out on the courthouse gazebo, they paid out on the fairgrounds, they paid out on the annex and the courthouse. And what this guy is saying is he's taking care of everything in the insurance. Correct? So this guy, Stanfield, is saying he's only doing the roof at the courthouse for $35,000. Am I right? And he's going by the insurance of what Danielle sent him and is replacing multiple buildings, not just the courthouse.
Mm.
For the $10,000 deductible and the $39,000 payout.
Is that how it reads, Jesse, or?
I was under the understanding we were just doing the courthouse roof.
Well,
But I do know that there was more that were damaged, but I thought we were just doing the courthouse roof.
Oh, I'm
So that
sorry.
may be a misunderstanding on my end.
I'm looking at the insurance claim now and it does say 35 slate roofing tiles. And then 11 hours of repair work is what was being reimbursed. Do you want me to put it on the screen or do you want me to print a copy?
yeah, you can put it on the screen. It's fine.
Motions received and issued for-
Linn County is seeking bids for roof repairs on the following buildings. Repairs that need to be done have been listed out by line item. Any other repairs found will have to be identified to the county and approved on a case-by-case basis. All bids should include itemized bid for each project listed and a bid including all projects. All bidders should have proof of liability and workers' compensation insurance. Okay, so that's what was put out there. And so this guy is only, the way I'm reading it, this bid only includes the courthouse. And this bid includes everything that was on this particular insurance claim for 4 buildings. Right?
That's correct. It says the
Can I see that list?
courthouse roof.
Nope.
The bell tower. Courthouse roof, bell tower, gazebo, and the old attorney's building. And then the 4-H building.
So what you're saying is we have 3 different bids for 3 different things? We don't have the same bid on anything?
Correct.
Okay.
I think that's what that's what I feel like I'm reading. But I mean, it's not up to them to, whatever they submit in a bid, they can submit whatever they want to submit. If it's just one building, it's just one building. It's just totally fine.
We just need to clarify.
Yeah.
There's some, what they did, I guess.
I mean, when I was reading through that one, looks like he's taking care of all of that on the insurance, right?
On this one?
Yeah. And when Gordian walked through a couple of weeks ago, I mean, we did the same thing. We went out to the 4-H building. I mean, they only came here just to give us an idea of how their company works. They're not actually providing us bids for us to actually
Right.
go with their company. But can I see the other bid for the $500,000 and see if that was all, maybe he did all of the buildings on this one, I'm not sure. Okay, so I don't know if you guys read this out loud. This is from the DH Roofing Company. It says, note, the repairs cannot be completed per the estimate provided by Keyway Adjusting, which must have been who adjusted for the county. Okay. Okay, the tiles are discontinued, so we have provided an estimate to complete the roof as it should be. The insurance carrier owes the county to have it completely corrected and not just a patch. Linn County should only have to pay out of pocket their deductible with insurance covering the balance. Don't hesitate to contact me with any questions. Okay, so when he sent the bid back, he's showing the courthouse at 582. I'm only seeing the courthouse on here. So, I mean, I think he's saying the same thing, 10,000. However, he would probably want to work with the insurance. adjuster. I don't know. That's interesting. How do you guys feel?
I think we better make sure what we get, they bid, each one of them bid on the what?
I mean, looks like two of them are just the courthouse. One of them is saying 35,000. The other one is saying should be a complete.
Rebuild.
I mean, yeah, it's $10,000. He thinks he can work with the the adjuster to get it at 10,000. Although the bid did come in at over $500,000. I agree with that price
On one building.
on one building. But what that guy is saying is he's only going to replace what the adjuster said, and then whatever he can do beyond that, that's what he'll do. But got to be some sort of benefit for him to take the job and then work with insurance with us out of it and get as much as he can out of it.
Yep. So we're
So
sending
I
it
guess
back
what
to
do we
Jesse.
want? What do we want? Do we want the entire, all of the insurance claims to be fixed? Do we? Or are we just going to take the money and just do the courthouse roof? Can we do that? Can we legally do that? What's the question exactly?
Not fixing it.
Not fixing
Yeah, I
it.
mean, that was just the payout. So they are assuming that you're gonna fix it on your own with the payout.
Yeah, and if we don't,
If you don't, you
And
don't.
they're not gonna insure the roof going forward.
right?
Well, they're not gonna, if these same problems exist again, I mean, you're on your own for that.
Right.
Right.
I think it's in the best interest of the county to fix what we were paid to fix, but that's my opinion.
I thought that's what we were doing as well.
The only company that says they're doing all of it is that one. But if you want to have Jesse reach back out to these two companies,
How are we gonna do that
that
within our bid process?
I mean, that is their response to the RFP. And so I do think that you're within your rights to choose amongst the bids that sit before you.
So we just need to verify what the bid was from their side.
Make sure it's clarified from that standpoint, and then move forward.
Jesse, do you have an understanding?
Yep. Well, what you're saying?
Do you have an understanding of what they were
What we're asking
specifically
for?
bidding?
My understanding is that we were just bidding out the courthouse roof and we sent out the RFP.
I guess we need to verify that's what they're,
We can verify with the one that has the $10,000 deductible to make sure that's
the DHA roofing.
that one, and then the other one also.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just reading his handwritten note, and then to me, it's saying it's 10,000, even though he did provide the 582.
But I can reach out to them and clarify that and bring that back next week.
Because I mean, if he's going to do the 10,000 deductible, do it all, and then also try to fight for us to get an entire roof replacement, that would be worth it to the county.
Right. I
Right.
agree.
So leaving today, he's just going to be following up with the two that we just, okay.
The three.
DHI and roofing, et cetera. Okay.
Okay, I'll follow up with those three, bring it back to you next week. The only other thing I have is I would like a 10-minute executive session, non-elected employee with Publix.
non-elected.
Correct.
Discuss.
Job description.
To discuss a job description, and who did you need in that meeting?
The three commissioners and legal.
Danielle or no?
Nope.
I'll make a
Give me-
motion, we go into executive session for 10 minutes with Jesse, the three commissioners, and our attorney for non-elected personnel for job description. Will return at
35.
10:35.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I can do that. There was no action from executive session.
You have anything else for me?
I don't, Jesse.
Okay, we'll come back next week with clarification on the bids.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do need you to be a part of the Evergy, executive session, if you're available.
Yes.
Sorry, my mic wasn't on, but yes. If that's
Yep.
okay. All right.
When we,
I'll just, whenever we go over there,
okay, yep, I'll be here.
Before we move on, commissioners, I received an email from Chris Martin. He said, can we remove the county's internet equipment and phones from the Parker building, the senior center in Parker?
Well,
Since we're entering into contract with the city of Parker, it should be their obligation now, I think, is maybe what
Yep.
the thought is.
what will we do? Can we use theirs on the, election? What happens?
Where's the
to
lease
their-
agreement?
I was gonna say, I thought we needed the internet there for security on the election.
Election.
I'm sure Chris is listening and
Do we pay for it on the other polling places?
That's an excellent question, and I don't have the answer because we do our polling locations in, community buildings that we don't own.
Right.
School buildings.
like, yeah, school,
Like
Lacey.
the Arlenville Community Building and the Cadmus Dance Hall. I do think we were gonna try and move away from the Parker Senior Center and move into the Parker Library, if that was an option, if they were willing to work with us on that.
I think that we need to delay on this answer to Chris because we do have elections coming up here. I get that it's in November, but
At least until that point.
yeah, before we take stuff out of there, let's make sure what we have situated for elections before we go
Okay.
equipment out.
So if it does not impact elections at all, then does he have your blessing to remove our?
No, we want him to wait, right? Let's assess the situation and then the commissioners will decide how they feel about removing the equipment. They don't want to,
Can he come back in next week and go over every building, all the internet that we provide and
I'm asking.
so as it pertains specifically to Parker, in light of the upcoming election, I think it's appropriate to work with the elections office to determine what security and technology and everything that we need to have a secure election, to the extent that we're using that Parker Senior Center for that before we rip anything out of there.
Hey, Jesse, I actually did have something else for you. I'm sorry. I'm going through all my notes. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me finish this Parker thing.
So, I mean, what do you guys want to have happen with that?
I'd
think-
like to wait to make sure where we're at before we go taking equipment out of it, if it's something that we need.
I agree.
I totally agree.
Chris is asking if he can come over now to discuss internet things.
And come over, we'll make time for it.
Sure. My question was, we put out a job, or did you have anyone respond on the road department or on the road signs? That position, I know Kevin Amer was in the position.
I don't think we've
and
posted
we're
that
gonna
job
post
yet.
it. I thought we were gonna post it.
We need to post it, but we have not posted it.
Can we get that posted?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing with that, I would like to go into a conversation just because I was at the noxious weed meeting, and don't let Johnny kill me when I say this out loud, but most of, I would say 50% of the noxious weed directors are actually the sign guys for the county. Have you ever thought of that for Linn County?
No.
I don't know if you guys, just so you guys, I was at that noxious weed meeting and I talked to a lot of people there, and there were quite a few that were doing the signs, especially during the off season, in the winter. That was kind of what they focused on. So I thought, well, that might be a good opportunity, but definitely would want to have your blessing and also just kind of talk through that with Johnny. I don't know if that's something, he might say he's too busy, but I know that there's been multiple times where we've talked about having things for him to do. And I know that Carl kind of goes over to the landfill and
Right.
does some other things. So maybe a good opportunity to utilize Johnny in a different area as well.
I had not thought about that.
quite a few months out of the year that we're not spraying. I
Yeah.
mean, he is spraying the buildings.
And I have a couple of counties, if you guys wanted to get the noxious weed director's job description from other counties and what that entails for the fire department. Would that be something you guys want to look into?
I'm good with it.
Because, well, that was another item that I added to the agenda was adding the park sign or the lake signs out at the Pleasanton East Lake. So I don't know if you guys have ordered signs.
We haven't ordered signs, so we priced some signs out a little while ago for Kreitzer and Mound City Lake because they would like to install some more signs over there for directions to get to the lake. That
Same
is,
with
that is,
Pleasanton East Lake. So
it's, what we can do is we'll get those sign costs put together and bring them in because they will be over my spending limit.
okay,
So we can do that and bring those in to get approval.
if we can just get a cost, that
Yep.
might be something that Pleasanton would be interested in going in on together.
Okay, we can do that as two separates.
Okay.
Now, who will pay for the Kreitzer? Will we have to pay?
I think we'll pay for the Kreitzer and the Mound City Lake. We could ask Mound City to
Yeah, you can.
put part of the cost on that one.
Lakes, what I'm saying, if you're doing
Yep.
Pleasanton's, that's.
Okay, we can break those out into three separate.
Okay, so
Yep.
you're gonna work on getting
the-
Kreitzer and Pleasanton Lake directional signs quoted.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else?
Hold on. No, I'm just kidding. No. Thanks.
I guess, as far as, board member for the SEK Mental Health, you guys feel as far as the commission?
Is that you? Is that what you're proposing?
I will if you guys,
Is that what you guys are here for today or no? Is it what-
this is they're different. We have an open position.
There's an open position. Who usually sits there? Is it a commissioner? Always a commissioner or just someone from the?
We
public?
haven't had a
We
commissioner.
haven't, and I've talked, each county that I've talked to is going to put a commissioner on.
I don't have a problem with that.
I'm in favor of Jim taking that on as his outside
Maybe.
board. I'll make a motion.
For a while.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Jim Johnson to the SEK Mental Health Board.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Congratulations.
thank you. Let's see. I guess we can open it up for public comment.
Sorry, Commissioner, did you want to invite Chris back up to talk about the
Yep.
internet?
Yes.
Yeah, we can. Chris, come ahead.
Yeah, the Parker site, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
So as far as election equipment in general, it never gets hooked to the internet. It's air gapped, the actual election equipment. So as far as at that site, we had internet and because of phone service for the senior site is why it was there.
So we'll use it for nothing and for nothing yearly.
No, so we provide phone service as much as we can because it costs us nothing if it's reasonable to get it there, right? So in Parker's situation, they're close enough to our existing tower by the compactor that we were able to just bounce it over, and that way we paid nothing for the phone service. I mean, we do maintain it, we have to change antennas when things break or something like that. So there's a little bit of cost involved there, but it's cheaper than paying the local phone company $30, $40 a month, because everything they do is long distance. So again, that costs us nothing to run it over our system. Whereas if we go through Brightspeed or one of those, it's a minimum fee every month, and it's just costing us money for very little use.
I mean, it'll be the city's issue with them leasing the building.
Correct.
So as it pertains to the air gapped systems for elections, yes, the machines themselves don't have internet access, but with regard to hosting an election there, any type of emergency that might happen, purposes of phones, etc. And so since we were talking about
Okay.
phones and internet sort of hand in hand, you know, the election equipment absolutely cannot be attached to phones or internet, but does the building need to have phone service for the purpose of conducting an election safely with any number of emergencies?
And I
that occur?
think that there is issues with cell phone service in that building
There
as well.
So yeah, we've never made any sort of like overt plans regarding phone access with regards to elections. I would say probably my guess is that Parker would be probably the weakest of services, being where they are and the way they sell coverage and being it's a metal building. So, you know, if that is the concern, I don't know if,
So we're going to leave it in place until after this election.
okay. If that's what you, that's fine. That was my clarification is,
And it will be no cost to us except if it breaks something break.
right, if something breaks down or something like that. And is it, you know, does Parker continue? Because they do use it for their city council meetings currently. We just let them. Again, I don't, there is no cost unless something breaks. You know what I mean? So if you're okay with that, I'm okay with that.
Contract.
That was my clarification.
Doesn't specify.
Could we?
I think it should be their responsibility going forward after this election.
Well, nothing in the contract says it's our responsibility, so it wouldn't matter if we take it out. You just wait till after the election.
Right.
And I mean, it makes sense to me. If you want to just leave it in place until the election and let them know they can get with whoever they want and kind of, because, you know, we'll leave the wiring in place if that's what they want or something like that.
Right.
We give them a written notice that we're going to, okay, after the election, then we're going to end service. That gives them quite a few months to figure that out.
Yep.
Sound good? Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
I'm good with that. Thanks, Chris.
Great, thank you.
Now we'll open up for public comment.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ralph Kelsey on Board of Directors at Tanglewood. And we're approaching about 4 months into our road situation, and we have no resolve on it. And I want your prioritized attention to this matter so that we can resolve it as soon as possible. It's costing us money and time, and it's not working out the way it should be working out. So I would appreciate it if you would give it your best attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph.
Can you please comment on that?
Yes.
Because there's, yeah.
So, there is a lawsuit already pending between Tanglewood and, the county. And so, that will be addressed, in that lawsuit. So while the lawsuit is pending, there's nothing further that the county can do. There are contracts between the residents and the homeowners association in terms of the constitution and bylaws of the homeowners association and dues received. And so perhaps those in the meantime could be consulted regarding contractual obligations of the HOA to the residents in the neighborhood.
Anyone else? Close public comment. Want to take care of the sign?
I think I just kind of took care of the sign situation
Okay.
with
I think you
Jesse.
did too.
Thank you.
Okay. Bill?
I do need 10 minutes executive for non-elected personnel with the commissioners, attorney, and Danielle.
Okay, we'll go ahead and let Angie and Shelley go right
Yeah.
now. Let them go on their way.
Yep. Good morning.
Good morning, commissioners and awesome staff team here. I'd like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to come in and talk to you about mental health first aid for your county employees. Danielle's going to put our slide deck up, so I'll kind of run down through this. But we just want to go through talking about the benefits of bringing a program like mental health first aid to your staff. where that comes into play, and I said just how it will foster relationships. Next slide, please. For those of you who do not know who I am Shelley Kelly. I am the Mental Health First Aid Project Director for Southeast Kansas Mental Health Center. And this is my awesome partner, Angie Smith, who is also a Mental Health First Aid Certified Instructor. Angie and I are on a very unique side of our business at the Mental Health Center. 3 years ago, time flies. Angie and I have built a training and education department up for our agency from the ground up. This was not something that we had within any of our 6 counties. My background, I have been an instructor and trainer for over 20 years, with the state of Kansas, and as well as with City of Emporia, and just all different areas. So bringing training was really important. We can talk to communities about mental health, but when not everyone comes from a mental health background, how do we have that conversation? Next slide, please. So what we have found is, that a mental health crisis, when it comes up, it can reveal itself through all different avenues for things such as anxiety, depression, panic attacks, thoughts of suicide, and different neurosis that may require hospitalization. And what they look like kind of in any setting, whether it's at work or it's at home, because for many of us, we spend more time at work than we do in our own homes. So sometimes our relationships there are they're so different. But it does make them challenging for individuals. According to a study with Harvard University's Counseling and Mental Health Services that was completed in 2025, it identifies several mental illness warning signs that individuals can have, range from changes in their mood, just the simple things, whether it's good mood to bad mood or bad mood to good mood. So we want to look at both sides of that, all the way to self-harm, and even more tragically, the loss of life from suicide. Next slide, please. And, when we turn around and we look bigger picture, many of these losses in our community are hitting us very close to home here in Linn County. We want to look at the after effects of how that impacts individuals, both personally and on the job. And a lot of times people are not sure what the resources are in town. Individuals are sometimes afraid to seek services just out of fear and for the stigma that, historically has surrounded mental health. They fear, being deemed unfit for duty and unfit for their job, which then could, progress to job loss, and then which turns around and gives a financial impact to the family. So then we add a whole nother, group of challenges to their bucket. And of course, there's always issues of privacy concerns. As you are aware, we have a new satellite office right across the street, which has been an amazing feat for our agency. So we want individuals to understand that, we do serve 6 counties. So if they are within this county, there is no law or rule that says that they cannot seek services from our agency at another location if they wanted to go down to the Fort Scott office in Bourbon County, or even if they wanted to utilize telehealth services. Next slide, please. So mental health first aid, it's an evidence-based training that teaches some of the basic fundamentals for individuals that do not have the background in psychotherapy or mental health. Angie and I ourselves, neither one of us are therapists. We are not counselors. We are not psychiatrists or even peer support services. For us, where we have fostered into this and really helped it grow is by bringing our own personal experiences and lived experiences to help create the awareness and the understanding that, some of these challenges, they can happen to anyone. And that it's not a form of counseling It is strictly a means of teaching individuals how to recognize the signs and symptoms of a crisis and knowing how to respond to those in an effective manner that keeps the individual safe. We always say it's kind of like learning CPR. CPR does not train you to do open heart surgery. I know that's a bummer, isn't it? But it's no different than mental health at first aid, teaching individuals how to provide counseling services. It is just creating that avenue of recognition and making sure that they're getting to the right place to seek services and different methods. But mental health first aid, since a lot of your, well, probably all of your county employees are mandated reporters, mental health first aid does not supersede any policies and procedures that are already in place for the county. So those will always come first. Next slide, please. Where mental health first aid kind of helps the most when we talk about that intervention period is we really hone in on the sooner that we can recognize a crisis or a challenge or a substance use issue that an individual is having, the sooner we can tap that, the less chance that we have of an individual developing further issues when things get even harder. We always say the faster we can get individuals to care, the higher the chance we have of the individual recovering and going back to being well. Next slide, please. Now, within Linn County, you have a lot of wonderful benefits. I moved out here, actually. I came from Linn County. I moved out here about 4 years ago. And it amazed me, even though I lived in a very small town of population, maybe 500 on a good day, if you counted all their children and their pets. You guys have a very close-knit community. You have individuals that have essentially never left Linn County from the time of their growing up to graduating and moving on to whatever their specialty was going to be. They seem to come back. So you have such uniqueness, and we'd like to help build on that with the mental health first aid. I always tell individuals, especially at work, make sure or do all you can to have a buddy at work, someone that you are comfortable confiding in, someone that you are not afraid to have the tough conversations with without judgment. Not everybody has that advantage. Not everybody has done that, or they're just not comfortable doing it. So by having someone within the realms of the teams that is certified in mental health first aid, and believe me, we like to make a big deal of letting the public know what has happened within the county, that we are putting a focus on caring about the people that we work with. It might open a door for someone to be able to say, I know this person took mental health first aid. Maybe I can just have the conversation with them. So at least gets the ball rolling. So as I said, we can position that person to a good spot of safety. Next slide, please. So basically through the evidence-based training, what they learn is, again, it goes back to assessing and identifying those risk factors or the challenges that an individual may be having. We share information on, the depression, anxiety, and substance use and where to go for services. So we provide those references so that beyond mental health first aid, the individuals can say, okay, I have an idea of where I can get you connected to. And teaching them to be there with that person, to follow them through the process, because that one person may be the only person that they confide in and that they trust with their situation. It develops through a 5-step action plan. It's called ALGE. I said it makes it very simple process. And then we have the different resources for self-help, not only for the individual, but also for the mental health first aider. Next slide, please. One of the most important things that we talk about is for the mental health first aider is their own personal self-care. We talk everything all the way from what do you do? What are you willing to try to help take care of yourself? And we go through the different 8 domains of wellness so that they can utilize that resource to say, okay, I can make sure I'm taking care of myself so that I am positioned to be there to help someone in an effective manner. Because a lot of times when we work with individuals that are having a crisis, it's really hard on our own emotional well-being. And these are the things that we take home with us as well, which can affect our world, on different levels. So we do walk and talk through what are those things that we can do to make sure that we stay healthy. Next slide, please. These are just some statistics that we have developed through what are some of the mental health challenges within our rural counties, because we are different. We are not Metro USA, because it's currently estimated that 1 in 5 individuals experience a mental health challenge at some point in time in their life. And those, when we say the 1 in 5, we want to recognize that those are ones that have just been reported. Those are individuals that were currently seeking services of some sort. It doesn't count for all the individuals that we have that have never received any kind of service. So this number obviously could be much larger. But obviously on our side, since we are operating, the fidelity of an evidence-based training, we only want to utilize the statistical data that we are aware of. So, we just want to look at, helping increase some of the attitudes around reducing that stigma on mental health, so that we can help individuals, I said, just be healthy in the long run. Next slide, please. As some of you may be aware, we, back in October of 2023, we did our first mental health first aid with our law enforcement. Sheriff Friend brought us in after we talked about it, and his response to the training, once it was all done, was mental health first aid training was held at the Linn County Sheriff's Office. Our staff thrived in the class. We were able to learn new techniques to apply to our service to affect the health and well-being of the staff and our citizens. This training is a must-have for law enforcement and emergency services. Obviously, that is Kevin with our giant algae that we take everywhere with us, including all the way to Philadelphia. Angie and I had the honor this year, back in May, which wasn't that long, that was just last month. Oh my. Angie and I got to come out and speak at the National Mental Health First Aid Summit, which is part of what they call NatCon, which is the biggest behavioral health conference held in the United States. And there is on an average of 5,000 to 6,000 individuals at the conference. So we got to come and have a breakout session and just talk about how do we have these training classes and still have a good time when we talk about something that is so heavy. It impacts individuals on such a different level. I think they anticipated for us to maybe on that Sunday have about 50 to 60 people in our room. We ended up with roughly about 150 people in our room. They were in there sitting on the floor. Angie and I we would be out and around Philadelphia running around and have people come up to and say, "It's you. You were the one you guys were in there." I'm like, "Yes." And they said it was part of the best part of the training that they had the entire week we were there. So that feels good. And one of the true, I say testimonies is that even though Kevin has retired, Sheriff Akes brought us back in a couple months ago to go ahead and do another round of mental health first aid with some of the corrections officers and the deputies that had not had it before. So it's great when they want to keep that momentum going. Next slide, please. And that's just another picture of the 2 groups that we had done. We should have 3 pictures up there, but I did not get the other one on there. So I just wanted to share that. So next slide, please. And if you are familiar with Franny Eastwood with K-State Research and Extension, Franny did attend a training that we did. It was a community training And her statement was, I found the mental health first aid training to be very helpful and valuable to me, both personally and as a professional working with the public. Next slide, please. I want to thank you for your time, first and foremost. I know sometimes having the conversations around mental health is very challenging. And I know one of the questions that always comes up is, oh, what is this going to cost? Because that's always the first thing I want to know is how much of my pocket are you digging into here? Angie and I, we have probably one of the most amazing relationships with the Association of Community Mental Health Centers of Kansas. They call them ACMAC, out of Topeka. We report back annually. Well, last year was the first year, so hopefully this year will happen again, but we report back to how many trainings did we deliver within the course of a 12-month period. And they afforded us with a stipend. And me being me, I went straight back to headquarters and I said, okay, this money's coming in, but no, you cannot shove this in general funds because we want this to go into what I refer to as the magic piggy bank. Angie and I utilize these funds to put back into training, to pay for the materials, for all the curriculum, so that we are able to offer these classes at no cost. Instead of it being anywhere between $50 and $75 a head, Angie and I draw down from our magic piggy bank, and that is the money that we use to cover the cost. I did bring just a real quick flyer that talks about the class itself, very, very briefly, just kind of that overall. Now, I know there is always a challenge when we talk about staff time. How do we draw people away from the work that they're doing when everyone's already doing more with less, and everyone's busy? We can break this a couple different ways. If we needed to do it just like in a couple hours segment each day, we are more than willing to work with you to find a way that would work to have the teams trained. We don't want to say, okay, we have to have everybody for 8 hours for one whole day and just shut down all the county offices. That does not work. So I said, we want to make sure that we are working with you and your teams to find a beneficial way to be able to deliver the training to them and keep the momentum going. And I said, if you do decide to move forward with this, obviously we would want to make sure that this goes out on social media because it's huge. Angie and I have spent the last couple of years, our main focus has been first responders, public safety, corrections, and as well as different social service workers. So now we want to bring it to county levels, and we'd like to start with Linn County. Are there any questions you have for me? Or for Angie?
I'm the silent partner.
And Angie being silent is very rare, if you already know her. She has a good front.
What are the expectations that you would like us to utilize your services? I know you're doing the sheriff's department, but have you thought about working with our health department? Are you trying to get employees to come on board? Are you trying to have us set up certain timeframes? What's the expectation from us?
What we would like to do, I said, is start with county staff. And that could include the health department. That is anyone that falls under the realm of county. It does not have to specifically be someone sitting over in the big building across the street. In fact, I would welcome our commissioners as well to take the course and become certified in mental health first aid. I said we are very open. Angie and I have talked multiple times about, doing a public community-wide mental health first aid for anyone in our town that would like to participate or in our county. Does that answer your question? Oh, you asked about time frame.
Well, yeah, I guess that you can go into detail on that one.
Yes. Time frame, we are very open. We would just kind of like to throw some dates around at your discretion. You pick the dates and let us know, and we will confirm with our calendars and put it on there. Usually we would like at least a 2-week leeway so that we can make sure when we order all of our materials and stuff from the National Council on Mental Wellbeing, because they are housed out of Washington DC, that we have plenty of time to receive the books, which would be the participant processing guide and a mental health first aid manual. That goes into a lot of detail for some of the different mental health challenges that individuals could experience. What are the signs and symptoms in there? Yes, once an individual, thank you, takes mental health first aid and receives their certification, they actually get a certificate, and we always encourage them to please make sure that they forward that on to their supervisor as well as their human resources department, so it becomes part of their personnel records. Their certification is good for 3 years. And then at the end of 3 years, excuse me, they could either take the course again, or there is an online component that they can go in through what they call Mental Health First Aid Connect, which is a portal that we would set each participant up on from day one. And then could go in and just, I think it's $25. Don't hold me to the fire on that, but I think it's $25. But they can go in and do a very quick refresher, and then that'll renew their certificate for another 30.
What does the sheriff's
3
office,
years.
is it mandatory there? Does he just require them to take it, or just is it voluntary for whoever's there?
It's volunteer for whoever is there. He does, from what I've understood, nobody has been voluntold that they had to be there. We've had such a great response. I had ran into one of the deputies. We were at D's. I was with my other half, but for the record, I'm the better half, but I was with my other half. We were in the feed truck on a weekend, and of course, I was trying to throw trash away, and it went blowing with the wind. I know it's hard to believe the wind blows here, but all I heard was, "Hag, you better go pick that trash up." And I'm like, I turned around, and it was one of the deputies, and she started laughing. She's like, "Come here." And I said, "Okay." So I bebop over, and we're talking, and she says, when I first got done, she goes, my first thought was, when am I going to use this? How am I going to use my new mental health first aid certification? And not long after, there was a call of a suicide risk, that there was a call that she went out on, and she said what normally would have taken them an hour to 2 hours, she goes, we were able to do it in 30 minutes. She goes, I didn't realize how much my language had changed to be able to ask the right questions, to be able to know how to listen non-judgmentally, because we have to put our feelings aside, because we all have just those different beliefs.
Is this material age specific as far as is it relatable to, toddlers and daycare providers up to, department heads and deputies?
Yeah, Danielle, thank you. That's an excellent question. We have a teen mental health first aid, which we offer, Angie and I are going to be working on getting certified on that one, but that'll be your high school group that we would specifically do to them. We also offer a youth mental health first aid, which we deliver to any individual that is serving youth of any age. Because we find that now, probably more than ever, that a lot of those challenges and crises and stuff become so much more prevalent in our younger population. But when we look at the dynamics of what has happened with social media and just the overall attitudes, behaviors of children, when I say children, 18 and under, at children has just really, really changed. Of course, I grew up in the Gen X generation. You do what you're told, and you move on. And but now it's so different. We do have specific, what we call community-specific mental health first aid courses, like the one that we do over at Linn County, would be a little different than the adult mental health first aid, because when we talk about law enforcement and corrections, we're also honing in on the law enforcement officers for their team members, for their dispatch and administrative staff, that we're recognizing how different those signs and symptoms could be based on their background and their profession. We do also have mental health first aid for rural communities, for seniors, for service members, veterans, and their families. Because that one's totally different again, because I said with veterans and those who have served in the armed forces, their attitudes and beliefs and stuff are so different. I am a veteran myself, so I tend to find I'm a little maybe rougher around the edges. I know that's hard to believe. But I say we just really we have tried focusing in on these specific communities so that the data and all the statistics that we pull down are very specific to their need. Well, if you don't have any further questions, I want to thank you for your time. I know you've been here for a long time already this morning, so I will end. But if you're interested, we would love to make that connection and start looking and putting something. Typically for our classes, the minimum that we can have to hold a class is 5.
Okay.
And sometimes, we've had classes that have had 30. And sometimes those smaller classes they're amazing. You would think a lot more people would be so much better, but I think sometimes when they're smaller, people tend to open up a little more. They tend to just feel more comfortable. So I said we are not opposed either side of the table on that one.
Okay.
Again, thank you so much.
Does this change, like on the insurance premiums, that one form that we're filling out, we're going in next week to do the biometrics? Is that something that could be like continued education?
That's an excellent question. I can ask Rose if this is something that is effective, like the trifold. Is that what you're asking
Yeah.
about?
I can't remember. I was looking for it.
Mhm.
Can't find it. So
Yeah, that's a good question. I can get with Rose and let you know.
I'd like to know on that.
Thank you, Shelley.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Andy.
That is a great question. Let me know what you find out.
I was gonna say, well, you want to let her know if we decide to add anything regarding that to
Okay.
the trifold, we'll be in touch.
Yeah, definitely. So
Thank
you
you,
reach out
guys.
to Angie or myself. Thank you. You all have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Insurance vendor change.
Yes, commissioners. I have made available our console. Sorry, let me find their link here.
Is this something in SharePoint? Or?
It is not.
Oh, okay.
Okay, commissioners, I have our insurance consultants from USI available here. They're on the phone, so to speak. So the commissioners will be able to hear you on the microphone that I've put near the computer. Essentially, after having a couple discussions with them, they found an opportunity for us to unbundle our health insurance from Blue Cross Blue Shield to moving something like United Healthcare. This saves us approximately $187,000 in premiums annually. There's a couple things that unbundling can hone in on that Blue Cross and Blue Shield doesn't do as good. And we have Jen Elliott, Amy Schroeder, did I say that right? And Darcy Pennison here online. Jen, would you mind giving us a little bit more information about how we're making those savings? Or Amy? Okay, hold on a second, Jen, we can't hear you. Oh, my sound is muted, just kidding. Okay, how about now, Jen? Can I hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so perfect. So yes, thank you, Danielle, and thank you for allowing us to come speak with you. So a big portion of your, almost half, third to half of your claims are prescription drugs, and you have several high-cost specialty medications in your group right now. that are driving a lot of the claims costs. So with one of the programs that we can do by unbundling and going with United Healthcare as the third-party administrator, it's still partially self-funded, but we are able to remove those specialty medications from the claims via a program called patient assistance. So a lot of the pharmacy managers, the pharmacy manufacturers rather, create foundations that we are allowed to draw money from for people who qualify financially. We are quite sure that everyone with the county would fall into that qualification. And we would be able to keep those claims out of your overall claims utilization, lowering it to the tune of conservatively $180 some thousand. Amy, do you want to expound on that at all?
No, that's, that really covers it. There's several programs we can do if we carve out, your PVM, which Blue Cross doesn't allow us to do, and they don't allow us to have these, RX programs, to address this, reduction in cost for your prescription drugs. So, the goal is, and the reason we would move away is to have that, carved out PBM where we really feel like we can, have some impact and mitigate the RX claims costs that we see.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
This will not be reducing our coverage to our employees. Is that correct? It's just changing how it's done so that we're saving some money.
Did you hear that
That's
question?
correct. You would have the same benefits that you have today.
Can you tell us more about what the cost change is to the employees?
Well, since it's self-funded, I mean, it would be a reduction in, cost to the county. It would be the same cost for the employees. If they do the wellness program, it would be at $0 per month for the employee. Same coverage contribution strategy for the spouse, the employee, children, and family as you have today.
So nothing is changing. It's just the back end with you, right, Danielle?
That's correct. So nothing changes for the employee. The coverage is the same. They're getting the same benefits from the coverage. All the same people will be covered.
When are you finding-
Availability, go ahead.
But no,
Availability for prescription drugs, is it still the same pharmacies? Does that change? Or
With United
No
Healthcare,
pharmacy changes.
no changes? Everything would continue the same for the pharmacies? Whereas what available drugs it was from what pharmacies?
The same available drugs, the prescriptions. I believe the benefit here is that we get to allow our employees to use generic alternatives to the name brand, and that's what's saving us a ton of money, us, the county.
So, the same drugs, you are correct. What we're looking for is an alternative way to pay them through foundation assistance that the drug manufacturers already offer. So potentially both the member and the county will end up spending $0 on some of these high cost specialty drugs, but they will be the same drugs. The only area where, they would be asked to make a drug switch is for the Humira, which has a biosimilar. It is the same drug, but yeah, it's just the biosimilar of Humira. Humira costs about $70,000 to the plan a year, and this would reduce it to $5,000 or $6,000 a year. So, but no other changes in drugs. You are correct.
when are you wanting to make the switch? How fast?
So we're wanting to implement the switch quickly. Is that correct?
Well, yes, your renewal date is August 1st.
How long have we been with Blue Cross?
A long time. I started working with the county, I think, 11 years ago, and you had been with Blue Cross and Blue Shield for several years at that time.
Will this require everyone to reapply or refill out their insurance paperwork, or does it automatically convert over?
Amy, do you want to address that?
Yeah, it can automatically roll over if that's what the county wants to do. The plan, again, won't change. It'll be the same plan design. At open enrollment, folks can make a change if they would like to for 8-1. But if the county wants a rollover passive enrollment period, they can do that.
Okay.
Another benefit to this I see is that the county contributes $250 a month to employees' HSA. They will be spending less money on prescription deductibles and be able to use their HSA on other things that aren't prescription. So I think that opens up a whole new avenue of opportunity for our employees as well.
Okay.
In addition to unbundling and moving to United Healthcare, we wouldn't be paying $30,000 annually for insurance consultants moving forward. So that's an additional savings to unbundling.
Above the 180s?
Correct. Above the 180, we would be saving an additional 30,000.
Have you moved quite a few municipalities over to this plan?
The question is how many municipalities?
Yes.
We have,
Amy?
we have multiple counties, multiple cities, multiple school districts that we've deployed this strategy with. We were very confidently able to provide Danielle and Rose referrals, references that they could call and confirm, how the process has been and how the results have been. But yeah, we do work with a lot of public sector and have successfully done this change before this transition.
Okay.
Maybe I missed it, but out of pocket's the same with this. Is deductibles, out of pocket deductibles.
They're staying on the same plan.
The same thing.
Yep, the same plan. So the out-of-pocket deductibles would stay the same.
Okay, that's what I thought she said.
Correct. Now you are on a high deductible health plan, and those, since you are at the minimum deductible, so those, you're at $3,200 this year, that will actually go to $3,300 for 8/1 of 2025, regardless if you stayed with Blue Cross or moved to another plan. Just that is the only change,
Okay.
and that's out of our hands because that's an IRS rule.
Any more questions, commissioners?
I don't have anything.
I don't.
I think change is always scary.
Change
We've
will
been
be.
for
I agree.
decades, and so I think it's just, if you're confident, you made a couple phone calls to other counties or municipalities, and
I am, yeah. I most recently spoke to Will Johnson with Butler County. He said that the transition was nearly seamless.
How long has he been with it?
He's been the county administrator for several years.
How long has he been with this health?
Oh, do you guys remember when Butler County switched to this plan?
Gosh, I've worked with them for 6 years. They've been self-funded like you for all of that time. We moved them into this captive arrangement 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I believe actually, Will began working with Aaron Wells from our office, I want to say around 2012. So they've been with USI for a long time.
I agree that the change can be scary, the unknown and things that way, but I would just say that, this happens in business, going back to my days at the bank, we tried to change carriers every 3 to 4 years because we could get better pricing.
I feel okay with it. I just
The other question I had was regarding preferred providers. So the in-network versus out-of-network, are folks going to have to change their doctors?
We don't.
So,
Sorry.
go ahead, Amy.
I was just going to say, we don't anticipate that disruption. United Healthcare is a national, large national network, the largest in our nation. So they should be almost exactly matching to Blue Cross Blue Shield. We don't anticipate that you would have a lot of disruption for your members.
Okay. That's always the hardest part of the transition.
Right. 'Cause sometimes you do have to change.
Yep. Okay.
We talked to Blue Cross to match what they're doing, and it's just that it's a no. They're not. They know have we informed them that we're leaving because we're gonna have over $200,000 in a cost savings, or we just don't let them know and we just back out and go with a different contract.
I have not had a conversation with them personally. I'm not sure that that's the industry standard. Do you know the answer, Amy?
Like
They will be aware that you're marketing because of the types of reporting, et cetera, we've been collecting to do this analysis. They knew we marketed last year and looked, at this last year, and weren't quite ready to make the change. But we haven't given them your termination, no. We will do that on your timeline.
But the issue there, as far as the cost savings, is that Blue Cross and Blue Shield will not allow us to switch to our prescriptions part. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So they don't do any patient assistance.
So they're not gonna match.
Currently, also, they are keeping about 20% of the rebates that should be coming back to you, and they're not giving you the 100% of the rebates that you would have by moving to a different pharmacy benefit manager, one that we're talking about right now. So that would also be a benefit, but they don't do the patient assistance because frankly, those high cost medications, they do get huge rebates for. So they want to hang on to those, whereas we and the pharmacy benefit managers that we work with, our philosophy is to pass them on to the employer because that's why you're partially self-funded.
Right.
And what we're seeing is every year it seems to that the specialty medications, you're getting more and more of them. That's just not unusual. We're seeing that across the board. But there's just no way to mitigate that until you get get off the hamster wheel with the Blue Crosses, the bundled programs, that they just don't work with the patient assistance.
I had an email question just come in. Jen and Amy, maybe you can answer this one. With switching our prescription plan, does that mean our prescriptions will not be covered at 100% after the deductible is met?
That is
No,
no,
not
they'd
correct.
still be covered at 100%.
Yeah, your plan design will stay the same.
An additional benefit you mentioned to me previously was something about the organ transplant. Can you share more about that?
Go ahead, Amy. You want to?
If you elect to move into this captive arrangement for your stop loss coverage, which is our recommendation, one of the pieces that's a part of that is a fully insured transplant policy that all the groups, all of the employer groups in this captive pool put into place. What happens is if someone on your plan needs a organ transplant, kidney, stem cell, we had a heart last year, this policy pays for that 100%. Those $1 million of claims don't hit your policy. So it really mitigates the risk for those really rare, but they do occur and they're extremely expensive when they happen, those claim situations.
All right. Commissioners, if you have nothing else, I can end the call with our insurance consultants.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being available,
Thank you.
girls.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Will she be here Tuesday? Or what day?
Oh, for the benefits thing? Yes, they will be here. They will have a table set up. Every interaction that I've had with Jen has been pleasant and timely and well communicative. So I really enjoy working with them. I think they're working hard for us.
That's tomorrow, right?
The benefits fair is the 18th, I
Oh.
believe.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
For the open enrollment.
18th, yeah. Seen that.
Yeah, so open enrollment is the 18th. It'll be at the Mound City First Baptist Church, on the corner of Payne Road and what highway is that? 7 Highway?
52?
Is it 52? Sorry, yes, it is 52.
52 now.
Lunch will be provided by the county. I believe it's barbecue. We have to-go plate options for our workers that, can't stay and linger as much as they might like to.
Okay.
Wednesday?
It's Wednesday, that's correct. Correct.
Did we
I-
have a flyer for that? Did we send that out?
I believe there was a
I
flyer.
thought so too. We want to post that on social media, or you want to send it in an email again to
Um,
all employees?
I haven't posted it on social media because it
Yeah.
pertains to only the employees of the county
You
and
wanna
not
send it
the
again?
entire county.
To all employees?
Sure, I can have it sent out to all employees again.
That's another thing too.
Yes, open enrollment there.
That's something we haven't really circled back on was the emails for all employees in Linn County. So we have another way of communication. I think it's a great idea. Instead of giving, unless we are recording their personal emails and we're still communicating with them. These employees that don't have county emails, how are they to know about this? I'm just wondering. How did you
Can we
expect
make it a requirement that everybody gives us their cell phone where it was a text message type deal?
I think,
Because that would be one way everybody has a cell phone.
but again, let's say they change their number or their phone is damaged, they don't have a phone.
If something
Still.
If we made it a requirement that they gave us, because you have to have a number to get a hold of them, right?
Every employee gives us an email so that they have their pay stub emailed to them.
Okay.
I'm sure you all do as well. I know we had a little bit of trouble with Allison's at first, so I think we got that fixed, but
Well, it's an email or a text. We could do both, maybe, couldn't we? If it's,
we just need to have some sort of protocol of how it's open enrollment, we're providing lunch, and I just don't see that every employee has been notified, I guess. Unless
so my understanding would be for example, out at the roads departments, the department head out there, the supervisor would get the email. My understanding is that it would be their responsibility at that point to tell their team to print off a flyer and hang it in a public place.
I
I can
know over at a staff meeting,
I can ask
you know,
Chris
I
what
mean,
the additional
they
cost.
have their shop meetings.
or they have to have a way to get a hold of them too. One way, whether it's email or text message, either.
Mhm.
But
just-
but we are supervising, let's just use Jesse as an example. We've never asked him, made sure he was doing, I'm not saying he did or didn't do it. I'm just using him as an example. But as commissioners, if that's who we're supervising, we aren't making sure he's doing that, making sure that information is getting out there to every employee in the road department. We don't have a clue.
I could ask Chris what an additional cost would be to get every single new hire set up, getting their own email, a county issued email.
I think that is a fantastic idea. But what do you guys?
Because then at least it's something that we're in control of.
Also, when an employee, when we're hired, he needs to also be held accountable of updating the all employee email list and who's on that and who's not on that. And if they're not an employee anymore, taking that off and updating it. The all employee list isn't 100% accurate when you're trying to email all employees.
That's correct. So for example, David Lamb's email is still part of that list. That's because David Lamb is still receiving emails that I need to get, so I have access to his incoming mail.
Yeah, I totally understand that part, but let's just, for an example, like when I came on, I was never put on it.
Okay.
I had to actually ask questions and figure out, like, why was I not put on this? Is this not protocol? Like, do we have any sort of, who's managing that? I just,
So do you need a motion to make the change on the healthcare?
I would like it to be a motion just so that it's an official decision. Other than it is a captive arrangement, you know, we're part of a cost sharing pool. I think the benefits are there. They've shown me the statistics that say, that anticipate, you know, we're not going to be, it won't have a detrimental effect to us based on the claims and the types of claims and the, you know, frequency of claims that we've been utilizing.
So that motion would be something like changing from Blue Cross Blue Shield to United Healthcare.
Oh, that's correct. I would say make the motion, go to market to, you know, explore options and change from Blue Cross Blue Shield. So with the United Healthcare, I believe that's under an umbrella that has a different name, and I can't remember the name of it. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
And I don't want to box us into something.
Okay.
Could we have it next week and the name?
Sure.
That's fine.
You're good with that?
Yes.
Here's a picture of the flyer that went out in the
Yeah.
all email.
I do remember seeing that. Yeah, and I don't know if you're getting those emails, Jason, but I don't see your name in the all email.
I'm not on the
You don't want to be.
health insurance. So
I don't think that matters. You're a county employee.
I understand. Yeah, but
It's county employee.
So this would be your opportunity, anybody's opportunity to decide whether.
right, but I've already made that decision. That's what I'm saying. I get it. Yep.
If you're not on there, maybe other people aren't either, because it shouldn't just be offered to those who are on insurance, it should be offered to any employee.
Right. I get my pay stub.
We're glad you get that. There are lots of people that have been terminated or let go that I'm seeing on this all in Linn County employee list. So I'll email Chris about that, but also at the beginning, Danielle, I think that you should be listed at the top, not David Lamb. But that's just my opinion.
I don't know how it decides in what order the emails are listed.
Yeah.
That would also be a Chris question.
Okay, we'll touch back on this next week.
Yep.
What else? We've got to have a 10-minute executive session, Evergy contract.
We didn't take care of the enterprise fleet contract either.
I thought that was next week, was that?
Well, in regard to the fleet contract, I understood from last week that you all voted to allow the sheriff to proceed, provided it was within his budget.
We did not make
Did
a
not
motion.
vote. That's what, 2-1. I mean, that was the consensus.
Sure.
They could
We
move
did
ahead.
not make
Yeah.
a motion.
I'm sorry.
We did not make a motion.
No.
Okay. So, do you all approve Sheriff Akes to move forward?
So is it just Sheriff Akes or are
Oh,
we doing what we
I thought,
talked about?
Yeah, with,
all of us, right? With the public works.
The
yeah,
3
absolutely,
vehicles with Public Works?
Yeah, but it
12.
seems like it's gonna be a separate contract.
Okay.
With one for Pub Works and one for the sheriff.
Okay.
What if another department wanted to get involved that was not, that was not the sheriff or Pub Works? What if the appraiser wanted to get in on that? I know they have a couple of county issues.
Right. And like when we were looking at the overall picture, we were involving them in the conversation as far as their fleet. So I think it's going to be just a matter of how comfortable we get with how it's going as far as how many more we want to add in.
I guess my question is, will it be separate contracts per department?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And they would need to add that into their budget for the next fiscal year. I think that would be a good opportunity. We can move forward with Pub Works, get our feet wet with it, and then see.
So right now, the contract to be signed is the one for the sheriff. And the question was whether you all had authorized him to sign that contract, provided everything was within his budget.
I don't think.
Do we have to have it? We don't even have to do that, do we?
No.
Because he buys cars without our approval, so why, I mean, to me, it's, if he stays within his budget, he's allowed to do what he wants, right?
Yep, and that's what I just was confirming, because that's what
Okay.
the guy from Enterprise wanted to confirm, was whether you all intended to sign that contract or that was within the sheriff's right to do that.
I think
as
it's
long as
the
within
sheriff.
his rights, as long as he stays within his budget.
And then we'll do the Pub Works contract to us.
Okay.
Do you need a motion for that, or are we moving forward?
We don't have it to sign, so.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll wait.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
And so we're good there. We need the 10-minute executive session for Evergy contract.
Yes.
Allison requested an additional executive session as well.
Okay,
We can do Evergy first, that's fine with me.
okay. So 10
10
minutes,
minutes
that's
is
with
fine.
the 3 commissioners and the council. And Jesse.
Oh, yeah. Jesse too. He needs to be in there.
Okay, that's my motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 We'll return at, 11:57? 58, 11:58. was no action from executive sessions. We need 10 minutes non-elected personnel with,
Commissioners, Attorney Danielle, regarding job description and employee performance, employee performance 754319.
Of which department?
Economic development.
10 minutes. So that's your motion?
That's my motion.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We'll return at 12:10.
All right, fine.
There's no action from executive session. Now where we're at, is that it? Anybody have anything else?
You want to move the health plan to a certain date? Next week. Oh, sorry. Okay, good. The UTV laws in Kansas, can we have, you want to just work on that for a week? And then circle back next week for
Are you
UTV?
wanting to know who has to have a license?
Yeah, what
Well,
are
the
you,
issue-
what are you,
okay,
what are
I
you
guess
trying to?
I'll clarify the issue. We have a water department, rural water, one. They have an ATV and they can drive to anywhere they want in the county to check water meters. However, they're getting pulled over and ticketed in Lacey.
That's in Lacey.
In Lacey, but we don't
But
ticket in
It's in the
Pleasanton.
city. We have no control over what a city does.
Actually, we do. And the reason why, okay, so check into statute. And again, you look into this. Kansas statute 8-15100. So that allows all noxious weed departments to have access on any county, city road.
But they're not a noxious weed, they're
I
water
understand
district.
that. I just want her to look into it.
City, county.
Because he's
state.
saying if you have a contract with the noxious weed department, then they can do that. The highway patrol has been notified. I think the sheriff, I'm not for sure, I'll get with James, but for sure, there's a statement that the rural water department did issue and get that the highway patrol doesn't have any problem with him driving on any of those roads over there. Basically, he has a few properties that he maintains in the city of Lacey, and he wants to be able to drive over there and take care of the water meters without getting a ticket every time. And he hasn't had any issues, I don't believe, up until recently with getting pulled over.
This is
in
the real water in Lacey, or in Lacey
Yeah.
area.
Mhm.
So, and how we fit into this is,
Well, it says operation of all terrain vehicles where when exceptions, except as provided subsection B, C, or D, it shall be unlawful for any person to operate an all terrain vehicle on any interstate highway, federal highway, state highway within the corporate limits of any city unless authorized by such city. Notwithstanding the provisions of subsection A, all terrain vehicles owned and operated by a county noxious weed department or all terrain vehicles owned and operated by persons contracting with the noxious weed department or the Kansas Department of Transportation
so,
may be allowed to operate such all-terrain vehicles upon the right-of-way of any federal highway or state highway for the purpose of eradicating noxious weeds, and such
he's not
all-terrain
doing that.
vehicles may be operated incidentally upon such federal highway or state highway. Notwithstanding the provisions of subsection A, all-terrain vehicles may be operated to cross a federal highway or a state highway. Notwithstanding the provisions of subsection A1, persons engaged in agricultural purposes may operate an all-terrain vehicle on a federal highway or state highway under the following conditions. The operator of the all-terrain vehicle must be a licensed driver and operating within the restrictions of the operator's license. This federal highway or state highway must have a posted speed limit of 65 miles per hour or less. The operator of the all-terrain vehicle must operate the all-terrain vehicle as near to the right side of the roadway as practicable, except when making or preparing to make a left-hand turn. And the purpose of the trip using the all-terrain vehicle must be for agricultural purposes. No all-terrain vehicle shall be operated on any public highway, street, road between sunset and sunrise unless equipped with lights as required by law for motorcycles.
All right, so where that comes into play, Jason, would be he is providing water to farmers. This is agricultural purposes. And he wants our support.
okay, but he's using, so what you read that stuck out to me was within city limits, they have to have the city.
Except the B, C, D are all the exceptions,
Which was ag purposes as well.
Okay, but
which was ag and noxious weed.
Okay, so are those customers in the city limits that he is going to check ag?
Yes. I think he said there were 2. It's a rural water department. It's not.
I understand what you're saying with the rural water department.
Also, regardless,
just
he can
trying-
cross state highways, city highways. So regardless if he's going through the city, he still is legal, no matter where he goes in the city on that highway.
Okay, and you think this is our problem as well? No, that's what I'm saying.
Is it, he's our employee?
No,
he's
because he's
one of
not
the-
with our noxious weed department.
She's talking about the rural water department.
So he's not a county employee?
No.
Not a county employee.
I don't see what we have to do with it.
That's what I'm saying too, is
Well, because I think he had reached out to me to try to figure out if there was something that he could do, possibly contract through noxious weed through the county, possibly do something to get through some loophole. I don't
We don't
know.
need to start contracting people. I personally.
and like,
But we don't.
like, so like that exemption is saying that we can use our noxious weed department with their UTV to spray along our road ditch
Yes.
and stuff that way, that we could contract with another company
Yes.
to spray. He's not spraying.
It's just like the state hires companies, the third-party contractors to come spray for them.
Right.
And
Okay,
the ag
so for the
purposes would
county,
be,
though, do we have any, that was the other thing, do we have any ordinances on UTVs in the county?
I don't think so.
So they can drive them anywhere they want? Without, with or without a tag?
This is a state statute,
Yeah.
so this still applies.
Right.
Um,
But we don't have anything beyond that.
I don't think, I didn't.
I know. I don't.
I don't know.
I don't think we would either.
Okay. So when people ask, I'm referring to this statute. This is the only thing the
Correct,
county has.
otherwise they, as far as the county goes, otherwise the within the city limits.
they may have their own city code.
And jurisdiction.
Yeah, within the city limits, they're allowed to have other
The city
additional
does
codes.
have two different things like that.
But wouldn't that state statute supersede what the city ordinance is?
The city can be more restrictive.
Okay.
This statute, the city cannot be less restrictive. So the city can't decide, y'all don't need to follow the state statute, but the
Right.
city could increase the restrictions for that particular city.
Which could cause people to get ticketed.
Right.
So because the state or county road goes through a city, he can legally occupy those roads, but, or no? Are you saying no on that?
Not if he's not of agricultural use. It sounds
Okay.
like he
Yeah.
can't, like he can cross them, right?
He can cross them, but he can't drive down them. Right? That's the way you're reading it.
That's the way I read it, yeah.
Okay.
But if he's not our employee during doing the county's bidding, I don't see what interference we can have with it.
Okay, it's fine. I'll reach back out to him. The other thing on the noxious weeds, if you guys get a chance to go down Vernon Road, like down the airport, I would like you guys to look at that because there was a man that came in a few weeks ago talking about, killing everything, right? Okay. I obviously didn't direct Johnny necessarily to do anything particularly, but what are we doing with the intersections? They're like every intersection, it's all dead on every corner. So I'm trying to figure out, did we buy the ditches, buy the bridges, like everything? I mean, it's dead.
That happened because of our spring in my area.
Okay, so my question is, just because I've talked to a few people since then, because I wasn't really understanding what exactly that guy's complaint was at the time, and I was thinking it was like just his situation. I didn't think it was like, this is a
Countywide. Yes.
So I guess I was,
Did you have it in your?
Yes.
okay, well, there are multiple things. Like if we're spraying for weeds, that doesn't mean it kills all of the grass.
Okay. But where are they spraying? So
Every intersection, every
Okay.
bridge.
the bridges and stuff that way, I mean, that's so that we don't have to come back and mow around those bridges
Okay.
and things of that nature.
But what was like, how many feet are we
And
allowing?
that's the whole deal. I think exactly what you're saying is right, but I think we got a little haphazard in the distance that we sprayed it.
Okay.
You know.
So we had
use-
drift or we
well,
just
use
turned
the
it on too
boom
long?
truck.
And it
You know,
went
it's gonna
out.
Shoot out 30 feet and.
Okay.
Then when he shuts it off, it falls back out and, you know, it all don't go after
Okay.
that. And that's what happened in my area.
I just don't remember driving down a county road and ever seeing it dead.
The last time I talked to Johnny, he said it came from our flood issue that we had last year where we had overgrowth on our right of ways and things that way where we couldn't mow.
Okay, well,
And I think
But there is another, go ahead, sorry.
I think that he's willing to change
what we're spraying?
procedures to better fit what we need to have happen.
Well,
Does that, I mean,
you
that,
can kill weeds or you can kill weeds and grass. We didn't
Right.
have to kill the grass. We killed all the weeds. I mean, and to me, it's the use, the chemical use we used.
right.
We could have changed.
But like on the guardrails, you're going to kill everything, aren't you?
Right. You should, you know.
Okay.
But, you know, down the guardrails this way versus 30 feet.
I understand.
That's where I'm at with it.
I understand. And that's what I'm saying, that I think he's aware of the issue.
Well, we need to confirm with Jesse that we've made
fine.
written,
That,
I mean,
that
I
he
don't,
wants, that you want to see a change in the policy for next year?
And another issue
Or-
with
Yeah.
the hand boom, if we had the hand boom or with the gator, with the hand boom, you spray down it, you know, you control your strip
Your path.
2 feet or
Okay.
I guess I've just never recognized, like,
instead of,
when
I don't-
we
I
are
don't
driving
think it
down the
was-
country roads.
I don't think it was something that had been done in the past.
No.
we,
I
we
don't
have
remember
never- we have
seeing
never
everything
sprayed
dead.
in my history and killed what we killed this spring. I mean,
Right.
now there was times with Johnson grass later in the year when he sprays Johnson grass, I've seen him kill some big, huge spots because the Johnson grass was.
Is
there
the
without-
grass, and you can't spray it with anything but Roundup to
Right.
kill it.
Right.
Right.
But we have never sprayed and had to,
And that's why Johnson grass is better controlled by mowing,
yeah.
so that it doesn't go to seed and spread. Okay, so Jesse's, you're
Let's
fine.
get with Jesse just to make sure.
Fine.
That I just wanted, I think it took me a few weeks to understand exactly what that guy was talking about. I drove through some county roads. I'm understanding the complaint now a little bit better.
Okay.
And it's in almost every intersection. And I'm like, wow, that looks,
What I've seen, it's
bad.
countywide where he sprayed. I mean, I could go and find every place he sprayed because he did the same thing every place. I mean,
Yep.
and I believe we can do a little better by the use of the chemical that we
Okay.
use. And
Sounds good.
anything else?
Right on schedule for our fence
I'm
viewing.
looking. I heard you guys make fun of me last week. So let me
What?
Who did?
I did.
Who made, okay.
I watched the meeting.
You want me back up there?
I was just gonna try to come up with something so we can just hang out until 1 o'clock. Oh, wait, we have
You
to
got
do
a fence viewing at
Yeah.
1 o'clock. You,
Far, isn't it?
20 minutes or so.
something.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
14 minutes away.